everyone, it's the Titan from Frequently Played. I'm back, and today is another painting video, this time featuring the Tervigon from the Tyranid faction in the Warhammer 40k universe. So, together, you and I are going to go ahead and paint this guy. Remember, this is not a how you should video, this is merely a kind of a how I painted this video. Hopefully you all can get some little tricks that you can paint for your own Tyranids or other models with. For this video, we're going to do something different than the other ones. The Daemon Prince seems to be very popular, but I needed to break something out. So this time, I'm editing this footage like it was filmed. So a real-time footage of me painting it, not the fast-forward videos that you saw with the Daemon Prince. So, follow along. I'll have the paints in the description. And let me know in the comments, do you like the Daemon Prince kind of a style video or this one? Let me know. And, yeah, let's get started. Alright, so, let's begin. We're going to go ahead and start with a Mechanicus Standard Gray. I'm going to paint this guy, his body kind of a gray, and then his little armor in different other colors. But we're going to start with simple application of paint, and we don't want to completely cover the black primer. We're just going to simply coat over some of the sticking out areas just to permanently show this character's color is supposed to be gray, or whatever color you want it to be. But right now I'm using the Mechanicus Standard Gray. It's a non-metallic paint. It's a simple base paint, or layer paint, I think. But for you Citadel users. And we're going to apply it as heavily as we want. And when we get to the small crevice areas like this, we're going to go ahead and just dry brush it on. That way it sticks to the outer areas and doesn't go into the cracks of the Tervigon as much. Not gonna lie, putting together the Tervigon was actually pretty fun. For those of you that want a really cool looking desk model, this is something I recommend. Between this guy and the Daemon Prince, they've been pretty cool looking. So, yeah, just a little tangent there, but to carry on, I've got my brush, got a wide bristle brush, and we're just gonna continuously coat this thing. You don't need as much water as we're gonna, use this. We're just gonna keep wiping it on, pretty much, and just all this using the dry brush technique, kind of like we did for the Daemon Prince in the previous video. I think that was like 2 videos ago. But yeah, see, it's slowly coming together. We don't need to cover the black of the primer, which is I use a black base primer, just to make sure that the paint here was able to stick on. So just slowly fill these in. Make sure not to go too deep in the skin, so we lose those blacks. We want to make sure to keep as much solid gray as possible. Hit the tail a little. Beautiful, beautiful. Just small swipes, that's all you need. Small little brush strokes. Nothing too vigorous. Like I'm saying, don't cover up the black as much. And what we're going to do here is we're going to switch it up a little. So let's take our gray and apply some water to it and just press against the rib cage of this thing, if you really want to call that a rib cage. I guess I should, research more anatomy on these things, because I don't know what you would want to call a lot of this thing. They've got some really wicked, weird anatomy structure, that's for sure. Kind of like half insect and half xenomorph thing. It's pretty freaky. So, we're going to head back, and using a Celestra Grey, or just adding a little bit of white to your Mechanicus Standard, we're going to apply a highlight. The highlight should be on the farthest point of the model. To give you an example, the point that stands out most, like you know, there's the muscle structure, the large areas, things like this, and you can apply this actually really easily without even well, pretty much the same way we applied the first coat of gray, and that would just be to just swipe as lightly as possible, as farthest away from the model as you know, to at least put some smallest amounts of paint there, paint down as like a dry brush form. As you can see right here, I finished the arm, but all I did was just quickly swipe my brush across his arm. Well, I guess it's his arm, his leg, but simply just to coat. All it does is so you completely coat the highest ridges of its body. So yeah, I'm going to show you here. All it is just simply brushing up just so lightly and not running the paint around as much. So the gray that we put down earlier still shows, and the black that we obviously had put down earlier from then is still unaffected, or not as much. So I hope that maybe this video could be a staple. I don't know. I would like you all to at least comment, maybe. Let me know. I know my lighting is still not good, and I still have some other things to adapt to, but the last time I did the Daemon Prince video, it was, it seemed okay, but I wasn't sure if I was getting all the details in proper. I'm not sure if that's what if you all want to see my actual process of painting the guy, like the overall process of how I did it, or all this detailed work, you know, in a real-time structure instead of like a ×6 speed video. So please let me know. I am interested in figuring out how I'm going to improve these videos. I do want to figure out how I'm going to do my lighting better. So, alright everyone, so next up we're going to start painting his skull area, in particular the armor that's on his head and neck and most of his legs. So I'm going to use a Macragge blue and simply apply it to the front, almost halfway down his first armored bit here up on the front of his head. And as before it dries, I'm going to attempt to apply, correct me if I'm wrong, a Yriel Yellow. Before that dries, I'm going to take the two, use a little bit of water, if necessary, and simply pull them down. Pull the yellow down into the blue, pull the blue up into the yellow. This will create a smooth transition of color and mix together into its own form of green. For me, I'm going to have to apply another couple layers on it to make sure that you know, I cover up most of the black. Leaving some of the black still adds a bit of character. So remember, you don't have to clean off the entire primer just to get the paint scheme you're looking for. Leaving a bit of black and great. And you go a long distance with these organic models. That's 100% sure. So again, just apply the paints and pull it up and pull it down. And we're going to do this to both sides of the head and continuously do this until we have a good solid surface of color. Now to the legs, I'm going to choose to use an Incubi Darkness. It's definitely a little more green than it is blue, but I think it's going to go a long way. So apply the top half of the armored leg pieces in this green here. I don't want to apply it to the rest of the arms. That's for the gray to stay from earlier. So simply just by applying the areas of the legs, that green, Incubi Darkness at least, and then this here, Yriel Yellow. Yes, please correct me at this point. We're going to go ahead and do the same exact technique we did with the head. This is actually what took me probably the longest amount of time. I'm going to go straight through it as fast as I can, at least in the video, because this is the longest part, and it took me a very long time. So you're going to have to be very patient with this. But yeah. I'm going to simply mask over the yellow so it first forms an actual color difference. And then to fill in the rest of the color gap, we're going to re-add a little bit of yellow just as little as possible to the very edges of his armor. I guess you'd call it armor. It's bone-like structure on the ends of his arms. Slowly go in for details. Keep this yellow at the applied color. And if you want, I plan on dulling it down a little if necessary. And here we go, off to the next leg. So, like I said, this is going to be the longest process. Another way you can do this, besides that half and half thing, I'm going to show you here. It's pretty much actually just end up painting the entire leg in this Kabalite Green. And as once it dries, you can use the yellow to do the same thing as the previous leg or the head. But now this time you actually pull just the yellow up, but you'd have to use some water to apply that general green effect, that faded effect that we had from earlier. So here we are. Pull some water into it. Once that's applied, we're going to go ahead and start applying the small detailed highlighted yellow that just adds to the color. Now, like I said, this is how I wanted to paint this guy. I wanted to do this Kabalite Green, these greens and blues and yellows, and the gray, of course. Now, imagine what some sort of other color scheme you all could come up with, because I tell you, something like anything with red and orange sounds amazing. Give it like a good reference. Try to use something maybe from let me think of a film, sci-fi film. What's that sci-fi film? Bloody Starship Troopers, maybe. All those arachnids and such, and their color schemes. I think a lot of them were like orange and brown, and you can come up with some crazy stuff like this if you wanted to do this little technique that I'm doing here. So just applying more of the yellow to the bottom of this armor, his leg, back leg this time, and just simply cutting it off, making pretty much the yellow just disappears immediately. Oops, I accidentally spilled some over to the next armor piece there. And you know, it's like, but what about the yellow? Well, the yellow's fine. All we have to do is just go over it again and keep layering it until we have a successful looking transition of color from green to yellow. So, as we continue on, like I said, longest thing of all time. I hope it's looking as good on the video, because, well, to be fairly honest, having the model in person doesn't, do justice. Just not having it in person doesn't do justice. And let's face it, the camera is pretty nice to record what I'm looking at now, but it can definitely be improved. So can my lighting, but. Let me know how much, if you like this whole close-up thing, where I'm just showing one bit of painting at a time, and my process into it, and stuff like that. So, here we are. We have all the legs painted. Everything is DV'd up nicely in this wet brush technique. And this is going to be the end of part 1. Part 2 will be available at the same time. And it's going to be just as difficult, so stay tuned, and happy painting.